I know Melvin is here. Melvin, at this very particular point, I'd like to invite you to introduce our speaker for today, Anuradha, who is my classmate, or who was my classmate. Yes.
Thank you so much, Otieno Paul Peter. Today, we are privileged to have with us a colossus in the field of information systems. We have a lady who was not only your classmate, Otieno Paul Peter, because to be your classmate is also a qualification, I believe. Okay. One can cite that I was a classmate of Otieno Paul Peter. But this lady holds a doctorate in information systems. She is a passionate teacher who has developed online and offline learning platforms for learners of all ages. And she is very active on LinkedIn. I would want to suggest that everybody follows her on LinkedIn, because I do. She's a thought leader, and she's a knowledge management professional who is there to teach. She's a trainer of trainers in the field of information systems. So she can take you from any field, whether it's agriculture, finance, science, technology, medicine, engineering, and help you translate your knowledge into a course which can be offered to people to add value to their lives. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Anuradha Khoda, who holds a PhD in information systems from the University of Cape Town. Thank you. Let's clap for her.
Thank you very much, storyteller. That's Dr. Melvin Lima. Yeah? He rewrites people's stories. Very good at that, and I love the way you introduced my friend Anu. Yes, Anu is a passionate teacher, and we know that. I've worked with her in that field. So Anu, the floor is yours, and we'll be very glad to hear all that you have to teach us. Somebody asked me, what is this mindfulness about? I said, honestly, I have no idea. I'm going there as an empty slate to learn that day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, OPP. Thank you, Dr. Melvin. I am humbled. I'm really humbled, and that means you've given me a lot of extra responsibility today to translate what we have to share here. So thank you again. OPP, kindly confirm that my screen is perfectly okay, and then I shall proceed.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay, perfect. So we are here today to talk about mindfulness, the power of mindfulness. And why should we really know it? Because we want to activate it for our growth. So I would like to hear just about two people. Let me know about what is mindfulness? Have they ever practiced it? Is it a Greek word or is it just a Kiswahili word? Anyone?
If I may hazard a guess, I'd say it is being present in the moment.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So yes, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Why should we really be present in the moment? Remember, we could be going to bed at the end of the day, wanting to rest, but there's a screen that keeps on coming or flowing in front of our eyes, and we keep talking about to ourselves, to the screen, to the vision, what did we really do? How was it? Am I carrying any problems with me from yesterday, from the whole day? So rather than thinking of that, let's think about where we are. If it is time for us to relax, then that's exactly where we ought to be. Right. So for today, we shall be exploring What is mindfulness? Why is it important? And how can you cultivate it for a regular mindfulness practice, which is going to help us grow further? Like someone has said already, one, mindfulness is a mental stage. It is not a state, but it is a stage. You come to that stage by practicing mindfulness, by practicing being present and being very fully engaged in the moment. So it is really that single moment where you are thinking about yourself, about your environment, rather than thinking of the past. And at the same time, some of us also start preparing for the future in our minds. So being mindful really is being intentional and being fully engaged in the present moment. It is active, and you need to be absolutely non-judgmental of your thoughts, the feelings, and your surroundings. So what do I really mean by that? Any thoughts could be coming. There could be good ideas for your future. Probably you want to jot them down immediately and say, oh yeah, this is the book I could really write. And then immediately you have said you are in the present moment, but something in you starts judging. Am I really knowledgeable enough? Can I really write it? Will anyone actually read it? So that is the point at which you're coming out of being intentional, and now you're going into judgmental awareness. So that is out of being mindful. So since we now know what mindfulness is, there are several techniques and a range of benefits that it has. So let's proceed. I have about 3 practices that we are going to share today, and I hope you will enjoy them. They're not really longer than 1 minute each. So number 1, we are going to focus on our breaths. And we observe any thoughts or emotions that come to us without any judgment. Are we all okay to begin? Right. The next practice is about body scan. It's your own body. Try and understand it, try and feel it. How many times do we really say, let me now go and take a Panadol because my feet are hurting? But do you know through mindfulness, you can actually heal the pain? Let's try and see what we can do within the body scan. We are again going to focus on our breaths, but this time we will take one part of our body at a time. And here we begin. Right. So that was our second practice of mindfulness. The third one, we may not actually do it, but this is what we ought to do. I know there is one of the participants of this group, and he always posts pictures or talks about a certain game park in Homa Bay. I think it is a Ruma Park. And he always talks about how beautiful the nature is. I think he also shares some of the pictures of beautiful sunrises and sunsets. That is being mindful of where you are. Where you're walking, try and see what is around you. Try and hear what is around you. Let's be part of the nature. How many times are we really guilty of being on the phone, having our earphones on, and yet walking through beautiful scenery? Let's see if we can try and change that for our personal growth and good. So the practices we have done, they take us towards being mindful. And I'll again repeat, being mindful really is to be yourself, to be in the present moment, and to bring yourself to calm. Why do we really need to come to that state? It helps us focus. It helps us think. It helps us to plan for our future with the right state of mind. So it is all about the state of mind that we are talking about. So why, again, should we care about mindfulness? These are a few of the points that you will gain once you start practicing mindfulness on a regular basis. One of them being, it reduces stress and anxiety. And don't we know, right from the moment our eyes open these days, there's nothing around us but stress and anxiety. We may say yes or no to it, but the truth is that's how the world is, and that's where it has taken us. We take the phone, we look at the emails, even without jumping out of the bed. And one email says, there is an early morning meeting, and you realize I'm already late for it. Or you suddenly realize you need to go and drop your kids, but we are already late. Will we really manage? So all sorts of stress and anxiety is with us. It does enhance self-awareness, and that is one of the reasons why it is good, it is recommended that we practice mindfulness regularly. Once we are aware of ourselves is when we can now lead others who are looking up to us to lead them. It allows us better focus, and it assists us in better concentration. Not only this, so we are talking about the mental state. At the same time, it also assists in giving you a much better emotional health. I know EQ, emotional intelligence, is a topic that OPP is very passionate about. And that's what we really hear a lot of people talking about on the social media platforms and in the world. So if we can start having a short practice of mindfulness on a daily basis, or if it allows, even several times a day, remember it's going to assist you in boosting your emotional health. Some of us could be having chronic pains. And like I had said at the start of this presentation, mindfulness will assist us in managing such chronic pain. Not the least, it does improve our sleep cycle because we are trying to be present in that specific moment. So we leave all our worries and try to get the best possible sleep. But the question is mindfulness practice really possible? I am leading this presentation and I should be saying, do I really practice it often, regularly? I wouldn't really say yes to that. Sometimes you are so tied up in your own thoughts, in your activities, that this becomes secondary. But again, mindfulness is about being intentional. So we do need to be very intentional at bringing mindfulness practices within our routine. So what stops us from practicing it regularly? Number one, difficulty finding time to practice mindfulness. And really speaking, it's not the time that we do not have, but what we really do have is lack of a routine. We have not really brought it into our routine. Challenge of maintaining focused attention. Even if you're told to focus on your breath or on your walking or on your surroundings just for 1 minute, do you know people really find it very taxing? Simply because of the digital era that we are in, we have managed to unfortunately shorten our attention span. And I wouldn't say research says it or people have found it. I can even talk about my own self. The attention span is becoming very, very low. So it is now recommended to bring mindfulness to our routines even more than it was necessary some years back. Frustration. Why do we get frustrated? Because we are looking for immediate benefits, immediate results. Mindfulness is something that you are going to try and have control over your mind, over your emotions. So definitely you can't see any benefits happening instantly. So do not get frustrated and persevere. You also could be finding difficulty in shifting your mindset and behavior from what you're doing into bringing mindfulness practices. Some of us might say, oh no, this really is belonging to a specific race, a specific religion, but actually it isn't. Mindfulness is a universal practice. We all need it. So difficulty in shifting mindsets can also keep you away from gaining the benefits of mindfulness. You could even feel discouraged because you want to be a perfectionist. You could try and practice and say, why do I really lose focus or attention? Why do I get distracted within the few seconds? I really cannot, I'm not the right candidate for mindfulness practice. Please let it not stop you. Persevere, and you will gain more and more from it. You could be struggling with distractions during practice. It is bound to happen. Doesn't it happen even when we are trying to pray? We start by saying the words that we've been using every single day. But when it comes to having the personal bond with God, may it be in gratitude or asking for something, we suddenly get distracted. That is the time we start thinking, my God, I left the tea brewing as it started boiling off. All those things come when you are trying to be in that state of moment. Experiencing physical discomfort. You'll sit down to say, I want to now practice mindfulness. And that is when you'll say, my back is actually hurting. Should I sit down or should I carry on with my routine of writing emails, reading WhatsApp? You do find yourself struggling to maintain motivation for mindfulness. Again, why? Because the human race has become so used to immediate results, immediate gains, immediate benefits, that you could struggle to have a continued routine for it. Not to forget, sometimes you're trying to look for that small space within your home. You need the peace and quiet, but you do not get support from your family, friends, or people around you. So any of these or all of this can really keep you away from practicing mindfulness. If you already know that these are the barriers, is it possible for us to counter them so that we can still allow mindfulness to help us in growth? And I do say, whenever you try to make a shift, a change in the mindset, the first stage is acknowledgement. If we have already acknowledged that there could be possible obstacles, then we'll be able to counter these obstacles. These are the 3 P's of mindfulness that I think are very necessary. One is practice, practice, and practice. There's nothing you can gain by doing just once. Persevere. You have to go through it with all determination. Continue doing it till you say, yes, today I have seen the first result coming out of my mindfulness practice. Patience. It's the mindset shift. So you have to learn to be patient. If you can use these 3 P's in conjunction, I can assure you that you'll be able to benefit from the practice of mindfulness. Let's try and start small. We do not really need to go into a 40-minute session. Let's begin with 1 minute, 2 minutes, and it continues to grow. You can try and use guided meditations. When I say meditation, again, let people not think that we are asking them to keep 1 hour a day blocked out simply for meditation. Meditation could even be you mindfully reading a book that you know you want to absorb, but without any distraction. If you feel that you are getting distracted, you are finding challenges, then we have these platforms like YouTube, we have podcasts, Spotify is something that we always have on every gadget of ours. We can use guided meditation. If it is taking us an hour's meditation, we can easily break it into chunks of 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes as we go into the practice. Cultivate patience. You really do need to cultivate patience for achievement of any goal that you have. Let's try and embrace change. Again, talking about the mindset shift, shifting your mindset. Practice self-compassion. And this is one of the very important points when it comes to mindfulness. Let's not try and hurt ourselves by saying, I cannot do it. I'm a failure. No, we are not. Let's have self-compassion so that we can go from the lowest point going all the way up to excellence and par excellence. So that is also one of the benefits of being mindful. Try wherever possible to get support from your friends, from your community, from a group like this one that OVP has so nicely started. Once we have support, then nothing can stop us. How do we establish sustainable mindfulness routine? I would really want to pause here and ask, is there any comment or question, or shall we keep it for the end?
Yeah, thank you. Anybody with a question, a comment? You can also put questions in the chat. Comment, you can raise up your hand and just speak, share what you think. And also, if you wish, you can put it down in the chat. Now, personally, I've gathered quite some good information. One is I did not know what mindfulness is. At least I've gained what it is. And I've realized that it's something I would always love to do. And I've tried to practice it. I remember at one point I would cross town to go look for where to do yoga. I used to go to some temple in Spring Valley. Yeah. Yes, so I failed to keep it up because of time. And the other thing you've mentioned rightly is the lack of routine. One of the things that cause people to break. It's actually what we were discussing with Christine before this thing started. I call it ritual. If we do not develop a routine, a ritual that we've got to go through, then some of these things will just become academic, as my friend, one of my friends called them. It's just for knowledge, but you don't reap the actual benefit. So we've got to find a way to build that routine. And the other thing is most people are not very much in charge of their time. Yes, we borrow our time to everybody else except ourselves. I think it's important that we allocate ourselves time, and we also, just like they say in money, Melvin will say that, and a few other people, they say you pay yourself first. I think it's also important that we also give ourselves time. Then, only then can we be in a position to become effective and productive in other people's lives as well. You've talked about compassion or being self-care, something to do with self-care, being compassionate with self. Very, very, very important. Most times we beat ourselves so hard, and like somebody said, we grossly underrate ourselves and overrate all everybody else. Yeah, we set very high standards for ourselves. So I'm enjoying this so far. There was a time you talked of meditation. There was a time I really struggled to look for what it means to meditate. Yeah, I dug into books, I dug into dictionary, where I was trying to understand the meaning of meditation as understood in this sense, and concentration. That was the other word. And to me, some words can be very simple, but they can take me quite a long time just to get to understand what they really mean. So it's one of those things that I love. Enough times I tell people, why don't you just take time with yourself and enjoy the moment? Yeah, I didn't know that is being mindful. Enjoy the moment, enjoy where you are. Just find reasons to give gratitude. The person you are talking about is Olale. Odhiambo Olale walks in the forest a good number of times in a week, and he keeps posing them. And being a media person, loves photos, takes photos all over, and is also joining us here. So those are my comments for now. Thank you very much. I would actually love that we do this physically someday. And you made me think of a possibility of getting a venue, which I know is very possible in Nairobi, through the networks that we've developed. Maybe we will someday. Thank you very much. Anybody with a comment? Yes, I've seen 3. Yoga has been found to invoke some harmful spiritual entities. Mindful self-compassion. That's from Dr. Eda. Dr. Eda is a counseling psychologist and a medical doctor, for that matter. She's specializing in counseling and she's very passionate about it. So this is Odhiambo Lale himself, power of the mind. Glad to hear about mind wellness linked to dawn and dusk photos. I also use daily scripture quotes with the rider, Kumekucha. It's a new dawn, that is. It's very therapeutic to me and my prayer mates, Relas and friends. Yes. And then Dr. Melvin has placed there a question. I want to believe, is it true that those who are auditory digital and think a lot are easily distracted? How do they become more mindful? Is it by practicing? So that one you can answer. I don't know what it means to be auditory digital. And then somebody, Milka, said she's learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, OPP. I'm very happy to hear all those comments, especially from you. Yes, when you say that there was a time when you tried to look for the definition of meditation, that is the Otieno Paul Peter that I know. If he does not go deep into something, then he's really not overcome learning. He needs to really get to the crux of it. So thank you. I hope you did really get the definition of meditation. Again, thank you for posting those pictures, walking in the forest. And Dr. Melvin, and there's another doctor that OPP has just mentioned. You guys are medical doctors. I am not. So I'm taking this place with the belief that what I've got to share here will make a change, a shift in the mindset of all the participants. So disclaimer, I am not a medical doctor, but I am trying. Thank you. So we proceed.
You're a doctor of philosophy. You
Yes.
prescribe philosophy. I was taught that indeed people prescribe philosophy as the other ones prescribe medicine.
Yes, indeed. So how do we establish our mindfulness practices? Number one, as we said, begin with a few minutes of daily mindfulness practice. Choose a consistent time and place. Consistency is one of the C's which are very necessary as far as mindfulness or the growth mindset is concerned. Be very consistent. And I think if there are people who would want me to reserve the comments, please do let me know. But I always try and keep on connecting mindfulness also with our prayers. Because after all, being prayerful or trying to sit down to pray is also trying to connect with the utmost power that we know. So even in prayers, we are told, always try and choose a consistent time and place. It has your energies around it. When you sit there, you'll already feel comfortable and you'll know why you are there. Be patient and persistent. You will not get any gains. You will not see any gains. You will not see any fruits out of it with just one day's practice. Yes, you might find yourself excited that you reach that state, but for your long-term benefit, you need to be very patient and keep on persevering. Try and experiment which is the technique that works for you. Like Dr. Melvin said, some of us are auditory. Does it mean when you walk in the park, when you go to Karura Forest, for example, do you think you will achieve the state of mindfulness while you hear the birds singing? Or is it something that you watch is when you feel that you are now reaching that state of mindfulness? So it really is very personal. Seeking support, we did mention, and this is really a recap of what we have spoken about. And integrate mindfulness into your daily activities. It's a routine. You do need to cultivate that routine. Does mindfulness lead to a growth mindset? I believe yes. So, what is a fixed mindset? Even before we think about a growth mindset. Belief that intelligence and abilities are innate, that they cannot be changed. You're born with it. And beyond that, you cannot really sharpen it. You do have obstacles. So let's take obstacle as an obstacle as a failure. We could not do X, Y, Z, so we have failed and we shouldn't really try it again. Always crime victim. oh, I can't do this. I don't do this because of X, Y, Z. My family will not support. Let's not try and play a victim. Let's try and go towards a growth mindset where we leave behind our fixed mindset. The concept was again developed by a psychologist by the name of Carol Dweck, and I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. A growth mindset talks about abilities and intelligence that can be developed through hard work, dedication, perseverance. Those individuals who believe in the concept of a growth mindset will always be much more successful than the ones who stick to their fixed mindset. Remember, when we want to learn, number one, we have to be lifelong learners. And anytime we want to learn, we need to have an open mind. If we do not get rid of our fixed mindset, we really cannot go towards the growth. For a growth mindset, people who believe in growth mindset, they think failure and setbacks are opportunities for growth and that they're not obstacles. OPP knows me for many years, and I will mention here that at one time I thought I would end employment and I would go into business, very close to learning and training. And it failed, especially because COVID came in and took away everything that I had. So do I just take that as a setback, or shall I say it taught me much more than what I would have learned over years of schooling? Yes, I did go down. It did have a very heavy toll on me. But I can say I have gone beyond that, and I have gone to the next stage, which is thinking about a growth mindset once again. So we need to focus on the process of learning and development, learning and improvement. Growth mindset helps us to cultivate perseverance and resilience. It assists us because we know that once we persevere, we are resilient, we will now go to the next stage and we are going to be successful. Growth mindset is always believing in your own effort and hard work and knowing that those are the ones that take you to success. So what are the personal benefits of growth mindset? Mindfulness is leading us to the growth mindset. And how does it benefit us personally? It assists you in building resilience. It increases motivation, where you can think of a better tomorrow. You can say you probably told yourself, I have never really swam, I'm not a good swimmer. But once you start having control of your mind through mindfulness practices, by achieving the growth mindset, you will go ahead and say, let me get a trainer who is going to take me through swimming lessons, and yes, I'll have achieved it. Positive outlook in life. Most of the times when we are anxious, when we are stressed, it's really the negative outlook we have in ourselves. By being mindful, by practicing mindfulness, we will certainly gain a very positive outlook about our lives. And that's what is going to help us build it to the next level to succeed. Mindfulness practice also improves performance, may it be in a student, in a child, in an adult, it always improves performance. It assists us in building better relationships with our clients, with our family, with our kids. And remember, a growth mindset is always about lifelong learning. So those were personal benefits. These are now the professional benefits that you also gain through mindfulness practices by gaining a growth mindset. A believer of growth mindset will always seek out challenges and embrace change. They will never be scared of trying new things. They will always have motivation to take up challenging tasks. And I do say specifically challenging tasks, because there's no fun in doing the same repeated tasks day in, day out. We should always try to look for newer challenges. A growth mindset believer will say mistakes and failures are opportunities to learn and not to cry from or not to cry on. You are always open to feedback, which enhances your performance. Again, a growth mindset professionally assists you in collaborating and seeking help to achieve goals. May it be your colleagues, may it be the leader of the organization, May it be the leader of your family. It makes you innovative, resilient, and more determined. You get all those skills simply by practicing mindfulness, by having a growth mindset. You're always willing to be a lifelong learner. Remember, things are very dynamic in this world. Nothing is static. So if we are not believers of lifelong learning, we'll be left far behind, and the rest will all go ahead. Right. What are the lifelong skills we are talking about? We talk about creativity and innovation. So a growth mindset, by practicing mindfulness, it will lead us to being creative and being innovative. It allows us strategic thinking. Again, one of the lifelong skills that people really do want to gain. Problem solving, one of the skills that we are always asked to build because we are always solving problems. Could be a small thing like which route to take so we avoid traffic, or bigger problems like climate change that the world talks about. Leadership. Leadership skills. OPP is very passionate about it. I hear people talk about leadership skills and say, oh no, I'm simply an employee. I don't think I need to learn leadership skills. Leadership skills are necessary for every single individual. If you don't know how to lead, how will you really gain followers? It is not a must to lead in an organization. You need to lead, like they say, practice what you preach. That is being a leader. Be an empathetic leader. You could be empathetic with the kids around you. You could be empathetic with the workforce around you, with the house helps around you. So leadership skills, again, are necessary lifelong skills. Financial management. We always see ourselves coming into problems, falling into traps simply because we've not learned to manage our finances. And I know in this forum, once OPP was also mentioning that we've never been given the leeway to say, let's talk about money. It's something always comes on a secondary state. Networking, like we're doing here, trying to know each other, build a community, because the community is always going to support us, and we need the support throughout our lives. Time management, very, very necessary, and I think we all know it. We do need to make meetings on time. We need to respond to our emails on time. We need to also see how to manage our time so that we can build a routine for mindfulness. Adaptability, simply by having growth mindset. You shouldn't really be fixed. You should be open to trying new and challenging bits. There is one lifelong skill that I always talk about, and I think it is very necessary as far as mindfulness or growth mindset is concerned, and that is resilience. And I will repeat it. There's some disturbance in the background. So I'll repeat, resilience is something very, very necessary for each one of us. And mindfulness practice assists us in being resilient to problems, resilient to keeping us away from success. So resilience is something that one really does need to gain through mindfulness practices. Right. What is resilience? The ability to bounce back from setbacks. It helps us stay focused on our goals. You persevere through challenges once you are resilient, and that's what we really want to achieve. We learn from experiences. Resilient people have a growth mindset. They do not cry over spilt milk, but they learn from experiences and grow from there. Resilience enhances motivation. You try and go further, push yourself harder, and that's exactly when you say, yes, I am resilient. Resilience is always developed and improved through practice. Hence, we are saying mindfulness practices need to come within your routine. They need to be part of your daily routine. And that's how you will see yourself shifting from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So we can go over a recap. We did practice 3 mindfulness routines. One was practicing how to focus on your breath. The second was a body scan, how to be aware of every part of your body. And there are other practices whereby people are able to heal themselves. And I'm not saying that we are trying to be doctors here. No, doctors have a very different position here. But when we have practices which assist us in body scans, we can try and reduce our discomfort. The third was mindful walking. When you are present in the presence of nature, with the universe, try and be one. Try and understand, try and hear those sounds that we generally block simply because of our headphones. Talking on the phone, we are walking, but we are very busy within our conversations. We are very busy listening to the best music possible, and that's not mindfulness. And there are several other techniques through which we can practice mindfulness. One of them is journaling. Make it a habit of putting down whatever comes to your mind as the past, present, and future. When it is on a paper or on a digital, let's say, notebook, you are being very mindful. Why is it so? Because you've now got everything out of your brain, of your head, and put it down either on a sheet of paper or a digital notebook. So you'll not be thinking over and over about the same points. Mindful art. You can practice art. You don't need to be an excellent artist at that. But when you start drawing what is in your thoughts, you're being very mindful because you're focusing, you're concentrating. Practicing affirmations. I am good. I want to go from this stage to the next stage. All those affirmations help us. They help us in practicing mindfulness. And that's how we shift to the growth mindset. Compassion, being loving and kind to us through meditation. Mindful eating. I hope people will be able to share at the end of this presentation how we have taken our routines of eating into literally, shall I say, just one of the goals that we have through the day. We sit down, we are watching TV. Some of us would be on the phone, and yet we are eating. The others could be attending webinars and they're eating. We are not being mindful of what the universe has given us. We are not focusing. So how do we expect that food to really give us nutrition? Mindful listening. You could be listening to any sort of sound. Could be nature, could be through a podcast, could be a book that you really want to understand with your podcasts. Be mindful, focus on it. And that's again a practice that you can build. And then comes yoga and Tai Chi. So all these are different techniques that you can incorporate in your daily routine to build your mindfulness practices. OPP, I would ask you what is the time, because I think we are now ready for Q&A and any sort of comments. Over to you.
Yeah, we've gone well into the time. So thank you very much. You can unshare now. Antonia, you can go through any comments or questions or people who would like to say something. Antonia.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. for such an insightful session. We are learning. Anthony's hand was up. Could you kindly unmute and bring up the comment that you had? Anthony?
Thank you very much, Antonia. Thank you, PP, and our speaker for the day. A very, very insightful and resourceful session. And my comment was that for me, I've been practicing this, but I did not know that it's called mindfulness. And how do I do it, especially when I'm stressed? Sometimes I just find myself closing my eyes and focusing on the breathing and, just like that for a few minutes. And it helps to relieve, that stress. And then also at times when I go to sleep, I have a lot in my mind. For me to get sleep, what I do is I focus on one thing. Let me focus on maybe a good thing that happened, and I focus on, and then I find myself falling asleep. So for me, it is an eye opener. At least I know now what to call it, because before I was practicing it without really knowing what it was, and of course I've also picked even more materials to enhance it. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Anthony, for that. I don't know whether Dr. has anything to comment about that, or I read the next question, then you can combine them together. There's a question from Olale. He says, this is a bit controversial. While in college, I read a book about TM. I don't know whether I'm losing that. Yes, and add a link between meditation and sexual satisfaction. Please comment. Am I audible? Or I read that again?
Yes, you are audible. Maybe you can just read all the questions, then they can be handled, if any, because we have 3 minutes.
Okay, maybe I can repeat this one from Odhiambo Lale. He says, this is a bit controversial. While in college, I read a book about TM and add a link between meditation and sexual satisfaction. Please comment. That is one from Olale. Then we have another one from Dr. Melvin, which says, how do we encourage mindfulness in young children below the age of 10? I can see Catherine had given a shot on that, and she says, I think by having a routine. Maybe Dr. can expound on that. Then we had a comment from Christine. We had a comment from Christine, and she says, to develop the habit, we need to do it more and more. Being intentional, distractions will be there. Practice makes perfect. Thank you, Christine, for that. Maybe we can allow the Dr. to answer those questions so far before we take some comment from the ones whose hands are up.
Thank you, Antonia. Thank you. Thank you for the participants who have commented and brought some questions. So
Your video is off now.
but you can hear me. Okay. Yes. So like I was saying, yes, at least I am happy that some people have gained from it, and that's why the comments and questions are coming. One of the questions about meditation, it is controversial. You know, everything that we learn at a certain stage in our life does feel like it is controversial because we have known certain things within our beliefs. How does it compare to the rest of the practices? It is about focus. When you focus, you're determined, you allow yourself to grow, you'll always enjoy it. So there is no direct comparison between mindfulness and any other practices, but what I will say is make it a routine, you persevere, and if you know that you're gaining benefits, then for sure, it is a good practice. Right. Antonio, remind me if there's anything else that I needed to answer to.
About the how to encourage mindfulness between the children below the age of 10.
Yes, thank you. So mindfulness is something that we can practice at any age, provided we are guided into it. So I do know while I was still teaching at one of the schools, we had mindfulness practice, which was led really by the leader of the organization. So when the kids came in and they were with their form teachers, they would all sit down and listen to affirmations just for about 5 to 7 minutes. Having put them through a daily guidance, a daily series of affirmation, it really did help. And I can tell you not everybody benefits because, again, if you don't have the growth mindset, you will not want to benefit from it. But for the ones who benefited, you could see them in the performance improve, the relationship at home and within the school improve. So it is very possible for us to guide a small child into the practice of mindfulness. It is us who need to guide them.
All
Okay.
right, thank you very much for that. I hope we are getting it. And Dr. Eda is saying at parenting skills, she's also answering to that question of parenting and letting the children learn how to be mindful. Then she says at parenting skills, teaching them how to be in touch with their feelings and naming emotions, self-regulation and self-awareness, emotional intelligence. Thanks very much, it's insightful. Thank you, Dr. Then there is
we had Nitin's hand up at some point. Maybe she can comment, then we close because it's 2 minutes past the time. Eh? Nitin was raising her hand.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to say something. In fact, it has been lovely listening to Anuradha. It was a lovely presentation. And I feel more than half the Indians are very philosophical and they do practice mindfulness. That's all I have to say. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you too.
So I think because of time, Anu, do you have any last comments and then we close?
So I will simply say thank you to all the participants. Thank you for your comments. And thank you for seeing this as a gain to yourselves. And thank you, OPP and the team, the Live Your Dream team, for allowing me to share what I had with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much.